Yes, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So now could you lower your hand and rename yourself with the group number at the beginning? Lower your hand, please, and rename yourself with the group number at the beginning. And then feel free to turn on the video. Yeah, feel free to turn on the video. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So welcome back from college. So hope you already found by playing the questions in college. Okay. So I want to know that if you think the questions at college for quiz one is easy, fair, or difficult. Maybe you can share with me your feedback using this one single word in chat. Uh, thank you, everyone. Okay, yeah, thank you, everyone. So, because chapter one is still like an introduction chapter, so the content in chapter one should be the easiest knowledge that we can learn in this class. Okay. And also we have tried a lot of examples in class to help us understand how to write programs, the print statements. So I think this quiz should be fair to you. Okay. However, in future, we are going to learn if else, for loop, and a list, and which will make our programs much more difficult. Okay, so at that time, you may need to spend like more energy, more passion in this class. Okay, yeah, in order to get a good grade. I will check your quiz performance later. I may need maybe 2 or 3 days to grade some questions manually. Okay. So since you are beginner, so for the programming questions, even though there are 1 or 3 statements that you need to write down, but you can still gain partial credits. Okay. So you will be rewarded still with partial credits if your answer is partially correct. Oh, any other questions about your quiz? Oh, okay. So, Selena, do you have question? Emma, do you have
No.
Emma? Anna, do you have question?
I can ask a question.
Okay, Emma, yeah.
So one of the questions had three
Yeah.
phrases in it that it wanted us to write out. It didn't specify if it wanted it on 3 lines or one. Did it really matter in that case?
Uh, so, it does not matter. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, does not matter in this quiz. But in future, if there's a need for us to write a program, I still encourage you to write statements on different lines.
Okay, yeah. I just want to make sure because we've done that question
Yeah.
We've done similar questions where we've written it on 3 lines, but it didn't specify in this case.
Okay. Yeah, it should be fine in this quiz. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Okay. You have any other question?
I have a question.
Yes.
Um,
Surabali?
yes, are you going to go over the quiz or no?
So I will go over the quiz next week. Not today. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
After after we finish grading, then we will talk about the your performance next week. Okay, if you have no other questions, and then let me discuss with you the schedule for today. Okay, so since you already finished your quiz, and then we're going to finish the content that is from chapter 2. Okay, and then we're going to start part of chapter 3. Yeah, chapter 3 will make your program more interesting. Okay, and it will make your program be more powerful to solve more challenging issues. So we'll see what will be covered in chapter 3 later. So now let's first go over what have been covered in last class. In last class, we have learned some basic features that available in Python so that we can write a program similar to the example from this slide. So what we have learned? We have learned first how to write down constants. And so far, we have learned only two different kinds of constants that we can put in our program. So one is the fixed value, another is the fixed value for numbers, another is the fixed value for strings. But remember that for string, we should use a pair of quotation marks, either single quotation marks or double quotation marks. Okay, so these are called as constants. And we also learned how to use variables in Python. When using variable, the first thing is how to name a variable. So when we are naming a variable, we should avoid using the word from this table. Okay. And the word from this table is also called as reserved words. They are used in Python for special meaning. Okay, they have their own significance. So for example, the for word can only be used to start a for loop. Okay, and we will also learn if else in class today for chapter 3. So those are the reserved words used for special meanings in Python. And these words makes the Python a kind of high-level programming language. Yeah, because using this English word, and then we can understand what does this program do very easily. Okay. So a variable, it can be used to store a value, and we can also use a variable name to change the value stored in the memory. Okay. However, to assign a value to a variable, we need a assignment statement. Okay, assignment statement. For assignment statement, just remember that this assignment statement is different from the equation that you learned from your math class. Okay, so for assignment statement, first we should evaluate the expression on the right hand side, and then the value will be assigned to the variable on the left hand side. So this is the assignment statement. Okay, so I have talked about variables and assignment state very quickly, and then besides the reserved words, when we are choosing a variable name, we should also obey these rules. Okay, yeah, you can check these rules again. And also, there are some recommended rules for us to follow. The recommended rule is to use a meaningful name for the variable, which can help us memorize our intention to store the value. Okay. So we have tried these three examples before, and we noticed that the last code segment is the best one because we can through these three meaningful variable names, and then we can easily understand what does this program do. Okay, so a variable name is important for us to understand how the program works and also what is the purpose of writing that program. So currently we have learned the print statement and also assignment statement. Okay. So for assignment statement, just remember that we should evaluate the expression on the right hand side first. Then what is the expression? So we also talked about expression in last class. An expression just a combination of values, variables, and the operators. Even a single value can be considered as one expression. Okay. So those are examples of the expression from the slide. And when we're using expressions, we may need to use some operators in the expression. So in Python, we can use an operator from this table, okay? And also be careful with the difference between the single division, a single forward line division, and a double slash forward line, uh, and a double slashes division, okay? And also we have the double asterisk to represent a power and the percentage to represent remainder, also called as marginus. Okay. uh, so besides the assignment statement and the print statement, we also learned input statement. Okay. So computer is able to do interactions with user. Okay. And the input statement is one way that we can ask our program to do interactions with user. Okay. So once input statement is used and we can get some input from the user. Okay, uh, the input will be considered as a string value. In order to process that string value in our program, we need to use a variable to store it. Okay, we need to use a variable to store it. Uh, However, the value that we stored is just a string if we use the input statement directly, so that if the input actually is a number, then we should convert the string that we got from the input statement into a number by applying the input function. Okay, so just put our value directly in the process of the int function. So if I want to convert a string into float, and then I should use the float function instead. So in this class, I will give you more details of the conversions between string and the numbers. Okay. So in an assignment statement, the right-hand side could be an expression. So the expression could be very simple, just like a single value. And the expression could also be very complicated, like this one listed in the slide. Okay, so there are multiple different operators used, and which operator should be evaluated first. And this is the problem that Python programming language should solve. Okay, before Python is released. Okay, and we call this solution as operator precedence rule. Okay, so in this chart you can find out the levels of the priorities of those operators. If the operator falls into the category that is in the top of the chart, and this operator will be evaluated first. Okay, otherwise it will be evaluated later. Like in this example, the power should be evaluated first because power has a precedence over multiplication, division, and remainder. So what if we have operators from the same level? At that moment, the leftmost operator will be evaluated first. Like the second line here, we have both division and the multiplication appearing in the expression. So they are from the same level, so that the division will be evaluated first because we need to evaluate this kind of operators from left to right. Okay. So this is what we have discussed from last class, and today we're going to complete the chapter 2, part 2, and chapter 3, part 1. So those slides are also available in iCollege. You can open those slides when I'm introducing them in the lecture. Okay. So in chapter 2, part 2, we are going to talk about a some ingredients for the variables. Okay. So we mentioned about the constant values and values that we can assign to a variable. Okay. And actually the values can be divided into different types. So in this class, we are going to discuss several different types, okay, that we can use in our Python program. And also there's a need for sometimes we have to convert a value from one type to another, like a string, a string zero, okay, is different from the number zero. But we may need to do calculations for the zero. So we have to convert string zero into a number zero. And this is called as type conversion, okay. And at last, we are going to talk about another kind of operator that we can use in Python and which can help us to simplify our statement. Okay. Jessica, do you have a question?
Yeah, I can't find the slide. I'm not seeing week 3.
Oh, can you find a week 4?
Yeah, is it part 2?
Yes. Yeah, you can find it in week 4. Okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
You're welcome. So first, let us talk about the different types of the values that we may need to know in this chapter. Okay. uh, so in Python, so all the values can be divided into different categories, and we call this category as type. Okay. So the type is very important because for example, for a number, we can add one to it. So we can do arithmetic calculation on a number, but we cannot do arithmetic calculation on a string. So we cannot add a one to a string. This is illegal, okay? So like an example here, we can add one with 4, and the value that we obtain will be another integer, okay? Will be another number. Oh, and we can also do addition with 2 strings. But now this plus, yeah, the addition for the string has a totally different meaning. Okay. When the plus is used for string, it means concatenate. Concatenate. So if I do concatenations for hello and there, so these two words will be concatenated to each other, and actually there will be added at the end of the word hello. Okay, so now the triple E actually is a variable holding a string, a new string, hello there. Okay, hello there. So just remember that the plus sign, it can be used for a number. Okay, for numbers. It can also be used for strings, but a plus sign cannot be used for a number and the string. Okay. So which means that we cannot add a one to a string, okay? But we can add one string to another string. Yeah. So does not work. And the second one works well. Okay. Yeah, this one works well. Let me try more examples. Could you let me know what is the result of this expression? A plus B. Maybe you can also try that on IDLE or try it using your A online GDB. But when you are using online GDB, please use the print statement. Will there be a space between A and B? Will there be a space between A and B? Maybe you can also try another statement, A, comma, B. And what's the difference between these two print statements? Yeah. So what's the difference between these two statements? Okay. Could you let me know which one will generate a space between A and B? Second or the first one? Okay, second. Yes, thank you. So let me try it also on my computer and show you again the difference between the plus and the comma. Okay. So when we use a comma, as I mentioned to you before in chapter 1, if we use a comma, then we can print out like two items on the same line, but between the two items, there will be a single space. Okay. So that's the reason you will see a space between A and B if we use comma. Okay. However, if I use print A plus B, the magic happens. There will be no space between A and B. Yeah. The plus sign can simply add B to the end of A and make a new string and print out it. So that's the consequence of using plus sign. Okay. And can you add one more item in this print statement? Plus one. And what will be the output? And if there is an error in the output, yeah, what will be the output? Or if there is an error in the output? Okay. Yes, there will be an error. And let me try it. So now you will see an error code cannot convert an object to string implicitly. We did see this kind of error before when we're going to add one to the Europe floor. Okay, so this happens because we cannot do arithmetic calculations on the strings. Okay, and then how to make this statement works. Okay, so maybe I really want to add a number 1 to the string A and B. Any suggestions? So how to make this statement work? I want to have an output like a B1. So then how to make this statement work? Okay, I have already got several solutions from the chat. Okay, so let's try a one solution here. So the first solution is to put the single quotation mark around one, so that this one, number one, will be converted to a string. Okay, let's try it. Okay, great. I got what I expect. So that's the first solution. And the second solution is to, okay, yeah, maybe we can put directly AB1 as the string literal and then print out it. Okay, good. This is also the solution. Any other solution? Any other solution? To print out AB1. Okay, so we have already got two solutions. Any other solution to print out AB1? Do we have volunteer to share with us other solution to print out AB1? Okay, so
You put a comma in between?
Comma between. Thank you, Jessica. So yeah, maybe we can try a comma between the two items. But if I run it, interesting, I will get a space between AB and 1. Okay. So seems like this is not a good way to solve this problem. If you have already previewed chapter 2, actually you can find another solution here to convert a number into a string. Okay. We can use a function string to convert a number into a string. Yeah. And we run the program, then we can get AB1. So actually there are three solutions that we can use to print out AB1 in this example. Okay. So through this example, I just want to let you know the difference between an integer and the string. Okay. Uh, so just remember that we cannot add one to a string. Okay. Sometimes we use values as a fixed value, so we can easily know it's a number or it's a string, okay, or not. However, sometimes we store a value into a variable, and we have no idea what is the type of the value that we store in the variable if we just read the program. So in order to help us understand what kind of value is stored in a variable, we may use the type function. Okay, so far we have already learned int function, print function, and input function, float function, and then this type function. So in the type function, we can put the variable name in the process or put a constant value in the process. And if we type enter key in the IDLE, and then we will be able to see the type of the corresponding variable or the type of the constant value. Okay. uh, so through using the type function, we are able to know what kind of the value that our variable stores and what kind of constant, what kind of type this constant is. Okay, and generally in Python, there are two kinds of types available, and we will talk about more types in future. Okay, and in this chapter, we have learned only two different kinds of values. One is the number. But even for number, we can even get a refined subtypes, okay, integers and floating point numbers. So integers are just whole numbers, which has no decimal parts. But for floating point numbers, and then it can have decimal parts. When using an integer value, we can directly assign a whole number to a variable. This will make this variable as the integer type, okay? And when assigning a floating point constant value to a variable, this will make the variable with a floating point type. Okay? So even though a 1 and a 1.0 seems like they're the same, but in a program, in Python program, they are actually different values because 1 has no decimal point. So one here is the integer type, and the float here is the floating point number. So sometimes we may need to convert an integer to a floating point number, and sometimes we may convert a floating point number into integer. Then to do this kind of conversion, we can use the float function. So float function here can convert an integer into float. Okay, can convert an integer into float. Oh, so in this example, you can find out that in the print statement, we are putting 99 in the float function so that the result will be 199.0. Can you try? So now can you try? Oh, can you try a statement by yourself on your own computer and tell me what will be the result? So print 99 plus 100. Print 99 plus 100. What will be the result? Okay, thank you. Yeah, the result will be 199. And there's no decimal place after 199. And please try another print statement. Print float 99. Yeah, print float 99. At this time, what will be the result? So I surround 99 with a float. Float 99. So thank you, everyone. So when using float surrounding 99, you will see a point zero printing out as the output. Yeah. So this is because for all the floating point number, even actually there's only whole part, but in Python we will still add point zero at end to represent this value is for a floating point number. Okay. And so in Python, if a floating point number is added with an integer, that integer will be converted to a float point number automatically. Okay. So even though that we're using plus, so we're using plus 100, 100 actually is an integer, but if integer is added to a floating point number, the integer will still be converted to float. Yeah, because floating point number is more precise than an integer. And then the result will be a floating point number again. Okay. So we can convert a constant value into float, and then we can also convert a value. We can also convert a variable from float to from integer to float, or the reverse. Okay, so like the example on the slide, I, because initially it's assigned a value 42, so we can consider I as a integer variable. Okay. But when using float, we can convert an integer I to a float. And after that, f will become as a float point number. Okay, as a variable that is storing a floating point value. Okay, and then when you print f, the answer will still be 42.0. Okay. Can you check what will be the result if I use print I? So maybe in your IDE, you can put several you can put several statements. So first, let us assign a value to a variable I. Okay, then this I variable I is with like a type integer. Okay, it's a type integer. And after that, let us let us convert the value stored in I to a floating point number, so that the value that we assign to f finally will be a floating point number. Okay, and then we can check what is the type of so we can maybe simply use the print statement to check the value stored in f and I. Okay, then please let me know what will be the output of this program. There should be two values printed out, right? What will be the output of this program? There should be two values printed out. Okay, be careful with the order of the values in these two lines. Last 10 seconds. So thanks everyone. The answer should be 42.0. Okay. So the first printf will print out a value 42.0. And the second print will print out a value 42. So why this happens? Because through using the float, we have already converted the value into a float point number. So f stores a floating point number. So that's the reason you will find a decimal place printed out. Okay. Even though we have used the float to convert an integer to float, but the value stored in I still stays the same. It's still an integer. Okay. Yeah, we just read its value. We are not converting I itself. Okay. So that's the reason when we print out i's value again, you will see 42, the integer printed out. Okay. To convert a float into integer, we can also use the int function. Okay, so now let's try one more. So and then let's try one more example here. So f is a floating point number. You can, for example, assign a value 42.3 to this floating point number. Okay, and then let us try what will be the output if I surround this f with an int function. Can you try that by yourself? And let me know what will be the output. Okay, thank you everyone. So seems like the answer must be 42. Okay, because using int function, we will get the whole part of the floating point number only. Okay, Then let's try to modify this floating point number to 42.8. And then let's check again what will be the output. Will that be a 43 or 42 again? So thank you, everyone. It seems like if I change 42.3 to 42.8, the answer will still be 42, okay? So the int function will simply get the whole part of the floating point number. It's not doing the rounding operation, okay? It simply get the whole part, yeah. So we can convert a float into integer and also the reverse available. And we can also use the int and the float function to convert a string into integers or floating point numbers. Okay, so like in these examples here, s value is a string value, and then we can try to use add this operator for this string, but we have tried it before and we know this is an adder. Okay, so in order to do arithmetic calculations on a string, we should better convert that string into a number by using either the int function or the float function. Okay, so if I use the int function on this string, I can get a new number and put it into the variable int value. Okay, and then I can finally add 1 to this int value variable. Okay. However, we cannot convert all the strings into numbers, like in the last example here. This is a string variable, but this string variable does not represent a number. Okay, hello Bob is just a string, and when you use int function on it, then you will get error messages. Yeah, because hello Bob actually is not for a number. Okay. Yeah, we can convert a string to a number only when that string represents a number. And can you try some examples by yourself and let me know if these operations work or not in the program, okay? So can we convert this string into an integer? And what will be the output? So in the print statement, I already put a string 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 in it. What will be the output? You can try it by yourself. Sahej, what's your problem?
Hey, okay, I'm wondering, is there any way you can make that text bigger?
You mean the text I'm typing now on the screen?
Yeah, is there any way we can make that bigger just because there's so much white space and it would help me see it a little better too?
Okay, sure. Okay, and are you using a phone? I recommend you use a computer screen to see it, okay?
Yeah, I'm on the computer, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I will try to make it larger. Okay, so once you put this print statement in your program, be careful, there should be no spaces between print, okay? And then the output should be 1, 2, 3. Okay, so even though there's a 0 before 1, 2, 3 in a string, but that 0 can be ignored when Python converts it to a number, okay? Can we try another example? So what will be the output now? Yeah, what will be the output now if I change it to another string? Yeah, if I change it to another expression. Okay, thank you everyone. Yeah, if I use a expression inside this int function, because in the expression, I'm going to compile it to strings. Okay, so first we get a string 3260, and after we apply the int function, then the string will be converted to a number 3260. Okay, then the 3260 will be printed out as the message. Okay. So that's it. Then let's move to some practices. Yeah. Um, so I'm not able to change the size of the font now. So I will do some study after class, and hopefully we can change the size in the future. Okay.
Thank you for checking.
Yeah. Oh, so let me try it. I think it's in the format here. Okay. I change it to 36. Yeah. So now let's try some a practice. The first question is that we are going to write a program to help the cashier to calculate what is the sale tax. Okay. So in this program, so the cashier may hope that our program get an input of the purchase amount. And then our program should be able to output what is the sales text. Okay. In this, in the program, so once we are given this kind of problem, and then we should first maybe write down some like comments in our program to show the steps that we're going to show the steps that we're going to proceed. Okay. For example, I have already given the steps on this slide to solve this problem. So the step one is that I should write some code segment to get input from the user for the purchase amount, and may store this variable and may store this value into a variable called as price. Okay. And after that, I should calculate the sales tax based on the price variable, and then store the sales tax into a variable called as text. And once I got a value of that text, then I can finally display the sales text. Okay. Could you spend about like 3 minutes to 5 minutes working on this problem? And then I will ask, then you can also share with us your solution in the chat. And I will ask a volunteer to explain your code with us. While you are working on this problem, let me give you some hints. So first, to get the user's input, we need to use the input statement. And when calculating the sales text, so remember to convert a string into a number. Because the amount could be a 40-point number, and a sales tax can also be a 40-point number. So it's better to use float to convert a string into a number. Okay. And finally, we need to print out the sales text using a print statement. So that's it. Yeah, please spend 3 to 5 minutes working on this problem, and then you feel free to share with us your solution in the chat. Sahej, is the font bigger now for you to read?
Yes, that is much better. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Okay. When you finish, you may share with us your solution in the chat. In this slide, also you can find out a sample run. So if the input is 197.55, the sales text that your program outputs should be 11.853. If the value is different given by your program, then your program may have some logic error. So Richard already shared with us his solution. So I'm waiting for another 1 minute, and hopefully all the students are also able to write down a program like this one. So be careful with the the cases of the variable names. Okay, so we are using a lowercase t, and I recommend you to use a lowercase t in your program. Okay, and in step one, yeah, you can store the value into a variable called as price. However, definitely without this instruction, if you are asked to write a program for this problem, then feel free to name the variable by yourself. Okay. So let's wait for another 30 seconds. So hi everyone. Yeah, you can paste your a solution in the chat if you already finished that program. If not, you can also paste some like your questions in the chat, so I will know what problem you have, and then I can help you to solve the problems before you take your test or your quizzes in future. Okay. So let me copy one a kind of a solution from you. Yay. So let us check if this solution is correct or not. Okay. So step one, we should get input from the user, and then put the value into a variable called as price. Okay, yeah. So in the prompt message, it's better to follow the prompt message that used in the sample round. So we can put message enter purchase amount, okay, in the input function. Because the purchase amount still needs to be used as a number and as a floating point number, so we should convert it into floating point number in using float function. Okay, so now price is a variable that holds a value of floating point number, and after that we can calculate the sales text. Okay, sales text. So the rate of sales tax is 6%, and then we can convert 6% into a number, yeah, 0.06. Okay, yeah, and after that we can print out the text. So it's better to use the variable called as text as mentioned in my instruction. Okay, if there's no instruction, then you can use any names by yourself in your program. So let me click the run button. Then if I try 1.197.55 as the input, and then the output will be 11.853. But in the sample run, you can still find a message printed out before 11.853. So I recommend you again to add some message before the value for the sales tax. Okay, so sales tax is the text. Okay. I want to emphasize this issue because in your Revel assignment, may ask you to output some message that is exactly the same as the instruction expects. Okay. So if the instruction is expecting like a sales tax before the number, then please include this message before your number. Yeah. So let us try to click the run button again and enter 197.55 as the input, and then finally the answer will be 11.853, and this is exactly the same as requested by the sample round. So this shows us that our program is written correctly. Okay. Also, I find another solution. When writing the program. So the float can also be used. The float can also be used before each price. Okay, yeah, this function can also be used for each price. So every time when you want to use price as a number, then you can use float to convert this string price into a number. Yeah. So that's it, the solution for this problem. And I have found that the students may have issues in running programs. So let me check what is the problem in this program, okay? uh, so let me run the program first. It's saying that the line 3 has a syntax error. Can some student help me to fix the issue in this program? So what's the problem in it? It's saying that the line 3 has issue, has syntax error, and how to fix this error. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Be careful with the little comma sign. Okay, so between the two items that I want to print out in the print statement, we can use a comma sign to separate them with a space, or we can use a plus sign to concatenate them. Okay, so if I use a comma sign, you will be able to see a space printed out between the two messages. Okay, If we use a plus sign, yeah, it's still okay. But this plus sign will combine this string, the two items into a string directly without adding any separators. What happened? How to correct it? But when I use plus sign, still given error messages, and line 3 still have errors. So how to correct it? Put equal sign next to text. Oh, so Farouk, can you help explain your solution? Farouk, are you there? Can you help explain the solution? Because I found a solution in the chat.
Yes, you should put you put dash on text instead of equal sign.
Yeah, which line?
The second line.
The second line? So
The-
for your process,
Yeah.
the process is okay.
Okay.
Yeah, process is like optional here, and it will not give us error messages. Okay. Then how to make this program work? Now I'm using plus sign instead of comma, but then I was given like this error message. How to make it work? So I mentioned about this arrow when I talked about the plus sign for strings. So how to make it work? The third solution, do you remember? Yeah, we should convert the text variable into a string. And then how to convert it into a string? Which function we should use? Okay, yes, we should use the string function. Okay, str to convert a number into a string. Okay, because we cannot add a number into a string, we can only concatenate a string with another string by converting. In this example, we can convert text into a string by using the string function. Okay, now this is a kind of very common problem that we may make when writing the program. So be careful when using plus sign. Okay, if we use a comma, there will be no problem. But if you use a plus sign, remember to convert all the like value, the numbers into strings. Okay, that's it. And then let's try to improve this program by displaying the sales text with 2 digits after the decimal point. With 2 digits after the decimal point. Then, how to modify our program to display only the 2 digits after decimal point. So previously, our program is able to display the correct output, okay, the correct value with all the decimal places printed out. But I just want the first 2 digits after the decimal point in output. And then how to modify our program to only display the first 2 digits after decimal point. This may be a very common requirement that we should accomplish when writing our programs for the grocery store or for the other stores. Okay, we do not want to order like decimal places printed out. We just want to two. Maybe you can think about this problem spending spending about 2 minutes, and let me know your solution in the chat, or you can talk to me directly. Okay, can someone share with me your solution? Keep only the first two digits after decimal point. So can someone share with me your solution? If you have no idea what is the solution, can you try this? Okay. Can you try this 9 in the statement in your program? So print okay, so print and text times 100 and then divided by 100. Okay, what will be the answer now? If I modify the last 9 to this statement in your program, what will be the output if I use 197.55 as the input? So can you try this statement in your program and let me know what will be the output? Maybe you can share with me your answer in the chat. So modify the last 9, print the text into this new 9 and try the program again. $11. Okay, so let me show you. So 8 text times 100. Okay, and then divided by 100. It's better to, let me try to use a comma sign, okay, to separate the two items. Okay, so what will be the output of this program now? What is the value printing out finally? It's 11.85 or 11.853. Okay, so the answer will be 11.85, right? So this is the trick we can use to keep the two digits after the decimal point. Okay, so if for two digits we can use 100. If I just want to keep like one digit, then we can use 10, okay, as the factor and the divisor. So now can you change 100 to 10 and tell me what will be the result? Okay, 11.8 now, right? Good. So let me explain this expression to you, okay? So we use an int function here for the expression multiplication. So this is used to like obtain a larger whole number, okay? So it's like we move the period sign maybe one position to the right when we use multiplication 10, two position to the right when we use multiplication 100. Okay, and after that, when using the end function, then the other digits, the remaining digits in this program, fractional part will be lost. Okay, will be like skipped, and then we can use divide by 10 here to move the period sign, the decimal point to the left position of the number. If you use divided by 100, it will move two places to the left. Okay, so multiplication 10 and divided by 10 are those operations that we can use to move the decimal point. Okay, now I have a question. If I just want to keep the three digits after decimal point, and then what number I can use in this expression? 10, 100, or 1000? Okay, yeah, if we want to keep three decimal places, we need to use 1000. Okay, yeah. So the multiplication can move the period sign to the right side, and the division can be used to move the period sign to the left. Okay. So this is a way that we can use to like keep the number of digits that we want after decimal point. So remember that maybe in the quiz or test, I will ask you again how to write expression to accomplish this kind of work. Okay. The last thing I want to mention in chapter 2 is about augmented assignment operator. So why we need to use augmented assignment operator? So first, in chapter 2, we just discussed about assignment statement. And in assignment statement, we use the equal sign as the assignment operator so that we can write one assignment statement here to add one to the count variable. However, programmers find out this kind of statements used very frequently in our program. So how to simplify our statement, make it shorter? Then the augmented assignment operator is used, is designed. The augmented assignment operator can be used to combine an assignment and arithmetic operators together. Okay. So for example, in order to add one to count, we can also use this one augmented assignment operator to combine the addition with the assignment. When the augmented assignment operator is used, first we should evaluate the expression on the right hand side. Still, evaluate expression on the right hand side, and after that, this value will be added. Okay, will be added with the variable on the left hand side. Okay. So in this example, we're using plus as the augmented operator, so that one will be added to the count. And then the addition of count and one will be finally assigned to the variable count. Okay, so this is the augmented assignment operator. Then let's try one question here. So we have a code segment here with 4 lines, and let me know what is the value of I printed out finally. So in this example, we're using an augmented assignment operator. So first, we should evaluate the expression on the right-hand side and then finally add it to I, right? What will be the output of I? Could you spend about 1 minute and let me know what is your choice in the chat? Last 5 seconds. So thanks everyone. So let's check what is the answer. Oh, I found that all of you already given us the best answer, which is E. Yeah, the best answer should be E. Okay, number 7. So why is number 7? Because first we should evaluate the expression on the right hand side, j plus j times 5. And for this expression, the answer should be 7. And since we are using a augmented assignment operator, so actually now this statement can be converted to I equals to I plus 7. Okay. Originally, I had the value, oh, sorry, this is 6. Yeah. So originally, I has a value 1. So I equal to I plus 6 will give us a value 7. So I stores a value 7 finally. Okay, so this is the augmented assignment operator. But we just talking about addition. And actually, the augmented assignment operator can also be used for subtraction, multiplication, full division, inner division, and even remainder and exponent. Okay, yeah, so just remember that. Once the expression on the right-hand side is evaluated, and then we can perform the augmented operation, and then finally assign the value to the variable on the left-hand side. Then let us try another problem here. What is the answer for this problem? So what is x after the following statements? So now, could you let me know if A or B or C or D is the answer in the chat? Okay, thank you everyone. So in this problem, first we should evaluate y plus, okay, we should evaluate y plus 1, okay. Y has a value 2 at the beginning, so 2 plus 1 is 3, okay. Then this assignment statement can be equivalent to x equal x times, okay, times 3, okay. Because x has a 1 at the beginning, so now the new value for x should be 3. That's it for the augmented assignment operator. So in this class, we have already learned 2 new things in chapter 2. Okay. That's it for chapter 2. Any other questions for chapter 2? I'm not going to give you more exercises for the question in chapter 2 in this class, but in the lab, yeah, lab 3, I strongly encourage you all go to the lab on Friday this week, okay, and try some programming questions there to do more practices. So in class, we do not have enough time doing the practices, but you can go to lab to do the exercises there. So at the last, I want to introduce you the chapter 3 very quickly. Okay. So chapter 3. In chapter 3, we will talk about selections. So the selection here basically means the if-else structure. Okay. So selection, yeah, this is a quite like a common action that we need to make every day. Yeah. If it's 8 a.m. and then we need to wake up. Okay. If we are hungry, then we need to eat some food. And if we are sleepy, then we need to go to bed for sleep. Okay. And or we can drink some coffee. And if you want to go to travel in spring break, you may need to choose a hotel. And then how to choose the hotel? Depending on if the hotel has a good price, if the hotel has a good location, okay, and so on. So every day we may need to make some selections. And the computers can also be able to make decisions. So computers can also be like a programmed to make selections, make decisions. Uh, to the, do different things in like a different situations. And this is the one of the things that can make the computer very powerful. Okay. Like the mark here, given on the slides. Okay. Yeah, like the mark here. Uh, we make decision to work or get more coffee. Yeah, based on the consumption. If we already had the coffee or not. Yeah. Then in this chapter, we are going to write a program to help make decisions. Yeah, depending on what is the user's input. Okay, depending on what is the value of one expression, or depending on other situations. So before I show you how to write down the if-else statements to make decisions in the program, we need to learn what is the flowchart. Okay. A flowchart is a kind of diagram which can represent an algorithm, a step-by-step approach to solve a task. Okay. So on the right-hand side, you can find out one example of the Python program. Maybe it's hard for you to understand what does this program do, but because this is a Python, so I think it's easy for you to understand it, right? So can someone help me to explain what does this program do? Can you raise your hand? Do we have volunteer? To explain what does this program do? Okay, Jessica?
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you
Hi.
clearly. Yes.
It asks questions to, I guess, narrow down between like true and false or yes and no.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Jessica. So it asks questions, right? Okay. And Shiwan, what do you want to add?
It's an if statement. So if the answer is going to be yes, then the program will print put on a hit. If the answer is no, then nothing will print.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Shivam and Jessica. So this program, maybe when you look at the program itself, it's still hard for you to understand it. But you can refer to the descriptions in the flow chart on the left-hand side, okay? So this program actually is going to ask the user, are you going out to play? Then the user will enter some information, yes or no. Depending on the user's input, and then we can print out a message, put on the hat, or do nothing, okay, or do nothing. So the left-hand side is showing us a kind of a flow chart. And in this flow chart, you can find out the different shapes, the rectangles and the diamonds, okay? Rectangles are, so the rectangles are just representing a statement that we have learned before, okay? and they are showing us the functions this program is doing now, but the diamond is very special. Okay, the diamonds. So the diamonds represents the branching point. Yeah, the branching point. Or you can say diamonds represents a kind of condition. Yeah. So if the condition is true, and then we will do some actions. Okay. Otherwise, yeah, we will do something else. So this condition is very important, represented by the orange diamonds in the flowchart. So in this example, if the answer is yes, then we will put on a hat. If answer is something else, we do nothing. Okay. In Python, we also be able to check the condition and make responses based on if it's yes or no. Okay. So previously, the example is only be able to respond if the answer is yes. And actually, we should also be able to respond when the answer is no. Okay. So on the chart, I missed the yes or no symbol there. So could you let me know where I should put a true and where I should put a false label? Alata?
Yeah, so you need to put true on the left side and false on the right side.
Yes, thank you. So we should put true on the left-hand side, okay? And put false on the right-hand side. So if the answer is yes, that's true, then we print out take an umbrella. Else, it means this answer is false, okay? The user enters some other information, then we should print out put on a hat. Okay. So in order to process these two different kinds of responses, we need another kind of structure, if else. Okay. Yeah. So in chapter 2, we have learned the reserved words. So if is a kind of reserved word, and else is another kind of reserved word. So if the condition is true, then we will do some actions. Else, if condition is not true, it's false, then we'll do something different. Yeah. So this is the flow chart. The flow chart can help us to understand how a program is doing. Okay. Yeah. How a program is doing there. And then we are going to write our own programs using the if-else statements. Okay. Before we try to write a program, let's play a game. Yeah, it's running a long time, so I know that you may be very tired now. Let's play a game together. So I will ask a volunteer in the class to provide if instructions. Okay, so if something is true, then the rest of the class needs to follow. For example, if I'm the leader, I will say, if you are wearing a red shirt, then please put your hands on your head. Okay. So can someone else to try this kind of game and perform as the leader? Do we have volunteer to want to try this game? No one? Okay. So if you do not like this game, please say not interesting in the chat. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone. Yeah. I found only one student, okay, two students saying this is not interesting at all. Okay, yeah. Then let's try another game. So in this example, we are using if instruction, and there's only the, and we need to like respond the case when the condition is true. Okay, yeah, when the condition is true. And let's try another game. So if you like this game, please say interesting in the chat. If you do not like this game, then please say not interesting in the chat. So in this case now, I expect you, all of you, to give me an answer in the chat because we have only two cases. You like it or not like it, okay? So if you like it, then you can print out a message interesting. If you do not like it, then you need to print out a message not interesting, okay? Yeah. So for if else, we need all of you to respond it. But for the if statement, if you like it, then you do not need to respond my question. Okay. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Uh, so through the introduction here, we already learned two kinds of selection statements that we can use in a Python program. Okay. Then we are going to write a program that using those selection statements. For the actions in the yellow rectangles, I think it's easy for you to write statements. So you can either write down input statements or print statements, or even some assignment statements to do calculations to implement those yellow rectangles, actions in yellow rectangles. But how to write statements for the actions, for the conditions in the orange diamonds? Okay, so this is the problem, and this is the knowledge that we are going to master in the chapter 3. To write statements for the conditions in the orange diamonds, we need to use Boolean expressions. Okay, Boolean expressions. Boolean expressions can ask a question and then produce a yes or no. Okay, produce a yes or no. So yes corresponds to true, and a no corresponds to false. Okay. Depending on the real problem that we are solving, a Boolean expression can be very complicated by where can be very complicated, and we need to represent it using relational operators. Okay, and we may need to represent it using relational operators. So first, let us talk about the yellow yes or no and the true and the false value. So previously we have discussed about the numbers and the string values. Okay, and in this chapter we are going to learn a new kind of value, which is called as Boolean values, and you can also call it as Boolean type. So for numbers, we can use like a unlimited different kinds of numbers, and even for strings, we can use different kinds of strings. But for Boolean values, there are only two kinds of choices that we can make. We can use either true or false. Okay, either true or false. So true and false are two kinds of constant values that we can use for Boolean type variables. So, true and false are different from string literals. So we cannot use quotation marks around true and false. Okay, yeah, we cannot use quotation marks around true and false. The true and the false are considered as a constant values, so that we can assign these constant values to a variable, okay, to make a variable as Boolean type variable. For instance, in the slides here, you can find out that we can assign a true to the span variable, okay? However, because Python is case sensitive, so the capital true is different from the lowercase true, okay? So lowercase true can only be used for string, and then we need to use double quotation mark around it. But a capital true can be used as a Boolean value. Okay, so that we can directly assign the Boolean value true to the span. Okay, Boolean values can help us to answer yes and no. Okay, but we cannot assign an integer. We cannot, we cannot we cannot use the Boolean value as a variable name because Boolean value itself is a reserved keyword. Okay, so this true must be a constant value. It cannot be used as a variable name. uh, so the Boolean values represents yes and no, true or false, and then how to represent a condition. To represent a condition, we need to use Boolean operations. For Boolean operations, we can combine Boolean values, constant values, and the relational operators. Okay, yeah, relational operators. In Python, there are a list of relational operators available here. So they are so similar to your math class, to the relational operators in your math class. The only difference is the relational operators that we used for the equality checking. Okay, so for equal to, we need to use double equal, and for not equal, we should use not equal exclamation equal. Okay, and for less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, instead of using one symbol, we need to use two separate characters. Yeah, because when we are typing down these characters in from our keyboard, there's no that kind of horizontal line at the bottom of the less than symbol or greater than symbol in the keyboard. So we have to use two separate symbols to represent greater than or less than. Okay. Here are some examples of using relational operators to represent Boolean expressions. So the first box here shows us how to use equality checking operators to check if two numbers are the same or not the same. If they're the same, when using the double equal, the answer will be true. If they are not the same, the answer will be false. Okay. But when using not equal, then not equal symbol to for the relational operator, then we will get like a different answers here. Okay. The greater than or less than symbol can also be used to compare to compare to constant values. Okay, and I also want to let you know that so these relational operators can also be used with the variables. Okay, the variables can also appear as a kind of operand. So we can store 42 into the variable egg count and then compare the value stored in the egg count with the value 42. Okay, because our egg count has a value 42, so egg count less than or equal to 42 is true. Okay. The equality checking is also available for comparing two strings. Okay, for comparing the two strings. If they are the same, and the output, the result will be true. Okay, if they are not the same, the output, the result, not output, the result will be false. Okay. Of course, the equality checking can also be used for two Boolean values. Okay, and we can even compare one integer with a floating point number, as long as the whole part is the same. Okay, and if the floating point number is a has a zero as the fractional part, but if the whole part are the same with the integer, then the answer is still true. Okay, but we cannot compare a number with a string. This is illegal. So the answer should be false if we compare a number with a string. Let's try this practice. Okay, let's try this practice, and after that, we can end our class today. So, in the first question, we assume working overtime is defined as having worked more than 40 hours during the day, during a week. And then can we write an expression to check if hours worked to check if hours worked is over 40, so that we can check if the employees worked overtime. Now, please spend about 30 seconds to write this expression and put down your answer in the chat. Or you can raise your hand to explain us the answer. So hours worked is a variable. It stores a value, maybe a value that recording the number of hours employee worked. Okay, and then we need to check this value stored in this variable and check if this employee worked overtime or not. Oh, I mean the first question, not the second one. Okay. Yeah, first question, what is the answer? Can we write an expression, write a Boolean expression as a condition? First question, write an expression that evaluates to true. Yeah, for the second question, the answer should be B. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, but yeah, but how about the first question? Because in your quiz, in your Revel, you will see this kind of question a lot. Yeah, you will be given a problem and then write some Python statement to solve that problem. Okay. So thank you, Sola, and every other students. Can you also work on the first question and write an expression to check if the employee worked overtime? Okay, by evaluating some values stored in the variable hours worked.
So is my equation correct?
Sona, yes, your equation, yeah, your assignment statement is good. But just remember that in your Revel, the question actually asks for an expression only. Okay, so it's not asking for an assignment statement. So we needed the expression on the right hand side of this assignment statement only. Got it?
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Yeah, just because Revel is like a computer, it's smart but not that smart. Okay, so we needed the expression only. So the answer should be hours. Oh, sorry. Okay. Hours worked greater than 40. Okay. So I assume here more than 40 means greater than 40, not 50. Yeah. So this is the expression that we can use to evaluate true if the employee worked overtime. Then for the second question, yeah, I found that you already given us the answer, which is B. Okay, which is B. So B is the correct answer. In this program, so we are using the Boolean expression x less than 4 as the condition. So since x has a value 0, so the condition becomes as a true. So after that, we should add 1 to x, and finally, x will be printed out as 1. Okay, so that's it. So next class, I will give you more like introductions of the Boolean expression, because I think most of you may still have problems writing down the Boolean expressions. Okay, so that's it, and thank you everyone for joining the meeting today. Yeah, so we have no assignment due this week, but I strongly suggest you review chapter 3, preview chapter 3. Okay, we will move our class faster in future. So yeah, please preview the textbook by yourself. Okay, first, and then we will try more practices in class. Okay. Thank you everyone, and yeah, I encourage you to go to lab and also enjoy your weekend. And see you next week. I will stay in this class for another 5 or 10 minutes. If you have questions, you can still ask me.
Hey, Professor, this is Dave.
Hello, David?
Yeah, could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yes, I'm gonna give you a call. I'm gonna what we spoke about in the email, and whenever you I guess log out of the class.
Okay, yeah, when when
I
when
got
all the
like 10,
students
15
left,
minutes.
then we can talk in the meeting. Okay, is that
Okay.
fine? Mm-hmm.
Say that again.
Or we can wait for all the students leave the meeting room.
Okay, yeah, we can just do that.
Okay.
All right.
Sahej, what's your problem?
Hey, so I had a quick question about the last slide on chapter 2, part 2,
Yes.
which was the practice question for
Yeah.
what is X after the following statement. So once I typed that in, I got an error that stated program finished with exit code 0. And I mean, it's such a simple program. I just don't know why it's not executing it when I
Could
click.
you okay, could you share a screen with me, because I have no idea what is the program that you are putting in your computer, on your computer. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, you see program finish. Yeah, because this program itself does not print out any messages. Okay.
Oh, gotcha. So it's not supposed to print anything.
Yeah, you need to use a print statement at the end of your program so that it will be able to print out the value of x. But in the question, I'm just asking you what is the value of x. So it's not asking you the output of the program. So this is different.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question?
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Have a good day, everyone.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, Rich, I can hear you clearly. Yes.
I am finding that when I actually practice coding, I learn faster than reading it in theory and in text. But Pearson doesn't really offer a lot of exercises. Do you know a website or somewhere where you can go to practice this stuff? Because the repetition really helps me out a lot.
So you think the practice really helps you a lot, right? Writing
Yeah.
programs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will look for some. I think there should be some useful website that you can do a programming.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you mean chapter 1 exercise or chapter 2 exercise?
Well, I was looking at, I'm particularly talking about the converting dollars into cents and quarters, and then there was one to convert time into seconds and minutes. Those are good exercises, but I want more of them because once you do them a couple of times, you kind of master them. So yeah, if there's another site that has different programming exercises that I can practice, I'd appreciate that.
Oh, okay. So also at the end of the chapter, at the end of each chapter in your textbook, you can find out the piece of programming question there.
Okay, I'll take another look through there too as well. But if you find anything, if you could shoot that to me, I'd appreciate that.
Sure. Yeah,
okay,
sure.
great. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So let me know